Hey everybody. So, I wanted to just take a minute and share, I guess, a word of exhortation. Um, I know that we all have experienced um, hurtful words in our lives, and the Bible is full of references about how powerful our tongues are, how powerful our words are, and that we need to keep a bridle on our tongues, and that the power of life and death is in the tongue. And I feel like a lot of the times we really kind of don't realize just how powerful our words are. So just take a minute and think about some words that someone has told you, someone has spoken into your life. Um, Negative words, hurtful words. They're not too hard to find, in our minds and our hearts. Even though we shouldn't keep records of wrongs, it's still easier to remember the hurtful words than the encouraging ones that we've received. And those hurtful words continue to have power over our lives if we don't make it a point to dismiss them and believe what God has to say about us and who we are. So I made a list of some words that have been spoken to me and over my life, and that have been really hurtful and have made progressing in my relationship with God difficult at times. But I think it's really important to take these words and to dismiss them for the lies that they are. Um, I believe that the enemy, Satan, referred to in the Bible, um, he doesn't have the power to create. He can't make us worthless. He can't make us damaged. But what he can do is put thoughts in our minds. And those thoughts, if we dwell on them or believe them, can create an atmosphere of self-destruction. So, for example, if the enemy puts a thought in someone's head and tells them, Julie's a terrible leader, isn't she? And then that person speaks that into my life and says, you're not a good leader, and doesn't come to me in love, but just says hurtful words. Those words have now created an environment for me to self-destruct if I believe those words. In the same way, I believe that the enemy can put thoughts in our own minds. It says, Julie, you're worthless. You're not a good leader. You're never going to be, the music therapist that you want to become. So I have a choice to either take those words and believe them and probably create a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you don't know what that is, I mean, basically just speaking that into my life and then living it and becoming it. Or rather than taking it and believing it, I can shut it down, not speak that into my life, not create the environment for destruction, but go to the Word of God and see what He has to say about who I am and who He's created me to be. So these words have been very painful, and sometimes I still have to check my heart and make sure that I have really extended the forgiveness and the grace to these individuals that God has given to me. Here are some of the phrases that people have spoken to me. You don't hate your sin enough. I don't want you on my team. The sound of your voice makes me cringe. You were pretty full of yourself back then. Do not ever contact me again. We are not friends. We will never be friends. Then start acting like a worship leader. All your songs sound the same. If I didn't know any better, I would have no idea that you have had any vocal training at all. You know I like you, but I have a reputation to keep. You are one of the most selfish people I know. Obviously, there's circumstances that surround these words that people have spoken, and some of them were probably motivated by very real hurt or disappointment that I created. But these people were not coming to be in love. And I feel like a lot of them did not believe in me. They did not believe in God's power to change someone and to change their heart, which between me and God, He knows my heart and He knows the changes that have taken place. And He's the only one that's capable of changing a person's heart. And I know He's changed mine. So my encouragement to you is, once you've thought of these words that have been painful and destructive in your life, I want to challenge you to write them down and then take that piece of paper, rip it up, burn it, throw it away, do whatever you have to do, just as a symbol saying, you know what, I'm not going to take those and believe those. I'm going to forgive the people who spoke them over me because they don't have all the facts. Maybe they were right at that time, but God's changed my heart. Take those words, dismiss them, and then get into the Word of God and find out what He has to say about you and who He says you are. Because for me, I know that for a time in my life, God called me to be a worship leader. It was a time in my life shortly after a period in time where I couldn't even hold a normal conversation with people, and the thought of being on a stage and singing in front of people and leading them in worship was the absolute most terrifying idea that anybody could have presented to me. But during that time in my life, God worked a miracle in me. Some people interpreted that time as a time that I was full of myself, and that's okay, because I know the work that God did in me, and I know the work that He still wants to do in me and through me as a worship leader or in full-time ministry. And if you happen to be one of the people that spoke these words into my life, I want you to know that I forgive you. You may not even care or want my forgiveness, but I do. I forgive you because I believe that if you knew my heart, if you know my heart now, you would know that those words are just not true. They don't carry any value. And I'm a work in progress, just like you are. We all are a work in progress. And I love you and I pray for you. And I wish nothing but the best for you and your families. Well, I guess that's it for now. Until next time, God bless.